but it's got to load first. So down a bum 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 bum.
Do you have a theme song yet? Maybe you need a
No,
theme song.
I do need a theme song. Yeah, theme song story, but it's got to load first. So. All right, so Jayawitch is Misha Naomi of Dream Waters Wellness, and I'm coming to you live today with Kelley Thompson of Thompkell Productions. So this is a mixture of astrology, human design, gene keys, and functional athletic training. And so Kelley came through a process of mine a couple of years ago now, and then is just launching into this interesting combination of the awarenesses, the ways of knowing self, mixed with the ways that we can be in grounded physicality with our body. So on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Kelley. And Kelley, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and your work that you're offering these days?
Yeah, thanks for the chat, Naomi. This is wonderful. I haven't connected with you for a while. It sounds like the journey that you're on right now with your hive, your group, is nearing the end. So it's been almost a full cycle since you and I have really connected in this way. So it's really nice to be here and be a part of this. Yeah, I think most of this chat is what I've been up to since that time, which has been quite a journey. So I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, and I've been here. I was born and raised here, went away to school, and then came back into this place for work and for family and for all sorts of things related to that. And one of the big moments, I think, for me as far as spiritual journey is concerned is when I was doing my master's program at the University of Calgary. There was a wilderness program that we got to go and be out in the mountains in Kananaskis for 6 nights. And through that process that was facilitated by some Indigenous leaders and an elder, and there was circle, and we were prepped for like a sweat lodge and an overnight solo vision quest, which really I tend to mark as my moment of kind of uncracking, I think, like really breaking open into like, what could this path be? And I think my connection to these lands and the traditional knowledges and practices and peoples here, and my appreciation for that work, dipped into the shamanic realms and that understanding. And I really think that's how I ended up finding you, through our connection to those types of teachings, and the way that really holds a special place in our hearts. But my path through a lot of that was also through Reiki, and theta healing is another modality that I've picked up along the way. And throughout most of that, I've always been really committed to and curious about the language of astrology. So my foundations are really built on what astrology has meant to me, how looking at something beyond and deeper than just a horoscope has like profoundly shifted my understanding of my life, my understanding of myself, and also just the ability to open up to more than just the horoscope you'd read in a newspaper or online somewhere, and understand how different parts of you have energies from all different parts of the zodiac, and how everyone is unique. Really took me down this path of wanting to commit to the study of this, which then always, well, not always, but at least for me in my case, everything I learn very quickly turns into something that I'm offering and sharing and teaching, and people are asking me about. And so it goes through this really wonderful expression of, I get to learn something and then practice it quite quickly. So while I've been studying the stars, I've also been very active physically, and with lots of team sports and lots of fitness. And I had a few years of being a spin instructor in the city, which was really wonderful because I had the opportunity to fold in astrology into how I was structuring my spin class and the things that I would set or offer for intention for people in the room, and how that might translate into what was happening in the skies and in the stars for us at that time. And now I have found this functional training modality, which feels like a space where I get to apply all of this desire for what I think is more like holding space, as opposed to like being really strict and like training people with like a whip in a way. It's like, let's hold the space, hold a container for movement and energetic development, for mental support, for emotional release, all through this functional training, which is basically programs and processes and activities designed to help us integrate how we move and use our entire body in the movements and motions that we do, as opposed to just trying to isolate parts of us and then trying to go out in the world and wondering why we aren't really connected to ourselves, and then to the earth, and then maybe to the stars, the skies, the intuition, all of these other pieces. And we wonder why maybe our lives have silos in them. And so we can start to work with our body as the vessel and the mirror of how we're moving through our lives. So lots to say. Yeah.
Super interesting point about the like isolation training. How then, like, if you're isolating a section of the body, or like treating the body like a car, like I just have to replace the pump, I just need to work out this section. But then how that does correlate to your physical and emotional well-being and the ability of fluidity in just like the receptors in ourselves and our knowing. And so that's really interesting and very unique way of approaching like a spin class. Like lots of people are coming to work out, to move emotions that are overwhelming, and to do something with whatever is going on. So then to be able to add in astrological awareness and bring in that kind of instruction of holding from the star point of view what perhaps is emotionally going on for you in this moment, and the validation and witness that would come in, that would be so faith giving and so like nurturingly witnessing, without directly asking how are you doing and having extended one-on communication. And instead it's this like, let's be here in this somatic release, and let's be conscious with the somatic release, and like let's also be conscious with the fact that vibrations and songs coming from the planet ripple into us, and they affect us because we're water. We're like so much water, and like something going like out from the universe actually does make us go like and all sorts of feels. It's been proven. It's an ancient science, and it's just, yeah, such an interesting way to work with the body. So I really really love this. Um, and so you said that you had your initial awakening with the land. So whose territory is Calgary? Do you know the
Yeah. So
Blackfoot?
when I'm in Treaty 7 is typically what gets referenced. And so we reference the treaties by mostly because that's where all of our documentation comes from. So that's like the initial signing. But so Treaty 7, and so Calgary's Blackfoot name, the traditional Blackfoot name of this area where the city is Mohkinstsis. And so the Blackfoot Confederacy is mostly to the south, so that is the Blood Tribe, the Siksika, and the Piikani are more or less to the south of me. Right on the edge of the city limits is the Tsuut'ina Dene Nation. So their territory is like right on the edge of the city limits, and it's been a really interesting relationship, especially as I've grown in my awareness of who's around, to see how reconciliation is at play or not, quite directly where I'm like going through this awakening process, and then out towards the mountains the Stony Nakoda, the Ayarhe Nakodabi are out there. So that's the Chiniki, Wesley, and Bearspaw nations.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Very cool. So embraced and loved under their custodianship.
yeah.
So you mentioned that you had this beautiful process. You did some Reiki training, you did some theta healing. Do you want to talk about the cute little series of synchronicities that brought you into the Rainbow Elak Hive in 2022?
Ooh, I don't know what year it was. So I've lost total
Yeah,
track of linear time. Yeah.
we were kind of in COVID still. We were kind of not at the same time. I think we were all,
We were
yeah,
towards the
anyway.
end for sure. And I actually, yeah, we for sure weren't in the depth of the pandemic because what ended up happening was I had a referral to go to what was called a cosmic facial at a little boutique called Pranic Forest. That's no longer in Calgary. That I think the owner is now based in Vernon, BC. But anyway, so there was like this little shop, and there was I'm not going to do it justice with what the cosmic facial was, but there was definitely sound involved, and there was a very skilled and talented healer practitioner, and I'm forgetting their name in this moment. Kiana. Yes, thank you. So she was there. She was my practitioner, and what ended up coming up in the session that she saw was either an ancestor or a version of me, or there was some presence of I think it was like of Celtic heritage, was a Celtic descent, Celtic lineage that showed up, which you and I later unpacked, which was quite phenomenal. And I remember her saying to me, there's only one person I trust with this kind of work in this realm when it comes to Celtic and ancestry and actually working with the gifts that lie here and are available, given that this being has come to you in this way. And she gave me your name on a sticky note for me to reach out to you over Facebook. And then I did, and you said we're starting a year-long process in like 6 days or something. And it's like, do you want to have a call? And we did, and then I joined the year-long process.
Yeah. So Kelley hopped in on my first official, like online, fully online container called a Hive. And it was a sector off of a mystery school, and is a year and a day process through a journey with a book called Journey of the Bard by Yvonne Owens. I also offer a support package to that. At that time, I was calling it the Polar Dip. At this time, it's known as the Inner Alchemy process. And so that's when you do the year and a day, which is the 2 sessions a month, plus you get 6 or 7 one-on-one healing processes. So Kelley went in for the full meal deal, and had some wild transformation and some beautiful findings. So can you give us a couple highlights, perhaps, of the journey, or takeaways, or whatever comes to mind when you're reflecting?
Well, how much is like spoiler alert for people who want to do this process?
I I I
That's so funny because I'm glad you tested and I saw you test that. Because I think for me the biggest moment that I always remember most vividly was when we went into the water realm, and you just get completely re-transfigured basically in that meditation and in that journey part, through that realm. And like everything changed for me the month that we were in that realm. I had like a major relationship shift on me. I had work shift on me. I had like everything kind of coming up and trying to find its way out of me that didn't want to be there
Mm.
anymore. And it was just so hard. And it like and it was awful in the way that it's like in the way that it's like necessary. Like if you walk around with like a poison or something in your body, but your body can still function around it, like you eventually need to get that out.
Mm.
And it's gonna like kind of suck if you've buried it super far inside of yourself, because then you have to like go after it to
Mm.
go and do that. Um, which is an interesting analogy because through all of that process as well, like while I was in the container, I've had a big like arc with uterine fibroids and like that whole part of
Right.
relationship with my body and like how that's manifested and
Body.
what that's meant. And in the year that I've been out of the container now, I've been able to actually address that, and it's I would say like resolved at this point,
Mm.
which is incredible. And it wasn't like a intervention where you like intervene for a day or a surgery or whatever that is, and then it's kind of gone. It was definitely like another container of process and moving through something. But I think what I gained a lot from the process of a year and going into different realms and like sitting in intentional space and moving through a process for an entire year is like things take a long time. And it's not always visible what we're going through. And when we get to the end, sometimes it's like, oh yeah, this thing happened to me like way back in like the water realm, and now I like never think about it again. Or
Mm.
it's like, oh, I picked up this. I remember like so many gifts too, and so many like the Celtic self who showed up quite frequently, and like the net that came to me, and how the tree was at different stages, when we would reflect on how our inner selves are doing through the whole process. And it's just so rich. And I think what I really got out of the commitment to the process is that you also commit to just like really being present in each of those things and really receiving the gifts, instead of, which is a funny analogy of like you come home and you like put something up on the shelf, which was a thing that we did in the process. Um but there's just, it's amazing to reflect now and think about what I did in that year in that container, and also what I did in that year in my life. Like
Mhm.
there, like you're just in a different place almost, but like time doesn't exist again. So maybe I've just been stuck in this time doesn't exist thing for a while now. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, it was a wild and beautiful honor to walk with you through the process. One thing that has popped up in my memory was also just how, like, I can't remember how long it had been that your family had been waiting to get your genealogy books.
Yeah.
And then in the process, those finally came home to
Right.
you, and it was around the time that we had done a heart clearing and really established a space for your ancestors to actually arrive from all the corners, all the rivers, all the creeks. I remember that you had sacred drum making process was gifted into your life,
Mm-hmm.
as well as sacred songs and awareness of your own Indigenous heritage. Um, yeah, massive transformations. We started with a tarot card reading, and I remember really distinctly hitting these points, and we could see where the cards had prophesized these kind of tougher months. And you did walk with some of the harder gods, guides, and like goddesses, um, in those deeper realms when we're coming to the water and then into the earth, into the north. and but it was incredible watching you. Like you were like a mountain, and you were very determined, and you accessed all different levels of comprehension, and really expanded your perception to 360 around what is the ability of the multiverses. You know, like I. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to remind you of some of those
Mm,
little sips that are popping up as
yeah,
we're
thank you.
speaking. And yeah, it's really lovely to touch in again and hear these beautiful things that you're birthing. So, in person, if you're kicking around Calgary, you want an incredible fitness, functional alignment, attunement with your astrology and your gene keys and your human design and what the heck's happening with your chart, your moon, and the happenings right this moment for you. You want to find Thompkell,
Yep.
which I'll add into the comments, and I'll also tag Kelley in this. If you're on Facebook, you can just message Kelley directly. It's Kelley Thompson. And then if you're international and you're not anywhere near Calgary, don't worry, you can just contact for an online reading and to do your chart and check out all your bits and give you some really interesting insight on what's happening. And who knows, maybe one day there'll be an app and you can just get
Oh,
your like
wow. Yeah.
something. But who knows? And in that conclusion, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Oh, actually,
Mm.
Kelley, what do you think what is one of the best takeaways and importance of spiritual practice that you think? Like, what is the importance of spiritual practice, and how has it helped you in your life?
Oh my goodness. Can I think about that and you answer your own question?
Okay. Oh, yes. Um, let's just make sure. What did I ask?
Importance of spiritual practice.
Okay. Well, importance of spiritual practice mixed with a physical practice. Um, the importance of a spiritual practice I find gives me a lot of faith in my day to day of what giving me a heads up, an aspect of prophecy, and just awareness and a sense of like comfort in the future. It also, in the practical senses, just like helps me balance my hormones and my moods. And it also find reasons for overly animated emotions or odd aches and pains that just won't go away or arrive at certain agitations. So I find that it gives me a great sense of relief in physical pain as well as emotional pain and distress. For I operate under the awareness that past lives and ancestral garbage can come down into the body in the physicality. So spiritual practice really gives me just a deeper lens of attendance to myself and to others. And I utilize spirituality as like a healing practice and a manifestation tool. So I find that it aids me in feeling like I can make a difference
Mm.
and I can assist, and that there is a lot more going on than what the current Western indoctrination um, says in the way that the human heals and what is necessary for the wholeness of the holistic body. And then one thing that I love is I was reflecting on the differences between myself and other practitioners, and one aspect is the physicality. There is this aspect of warrior in my work, and that there is like a discipline that does come with a physical practice at times is very important. So I really love how that you mix like the physical training and like the right way of being in the body, also with that equal amount of spiritual expansion and awareness. And I think we'd be a better off culture if we had more of that happening everywhere. So my hands up to you for bringing that.
Mm.
Um,
Thank
yeah,
you.
segue over to you, maybe.
Yeah, I like to hear from you. And I've heard so much from you that I feel like it's also a responsibility of mine to make sure that you are featured on your own stuff. Because it is such a gift. And I think that is a big part of why like we found each other to do, like, to guide me through this process. And yeah, just the philosophies being similar in terms of, I don't know, just like a practice and a commitment, and how those things help just like enrich our experience and our ability to be here. I can't, like, similar to how you can do strength training or cardiovascular training or whatever on your physical body so that you can move better. Oh, he's gonna go up. So you can move better. I think there's also so much value in these spiritual practices and commitments that, like, are unique and are personal to us. Like the way that you can have like a diet culture or a fitness culture that's like, you should eat this at this point and this at this point, and then you learn that, like, maybe you have an allergy to something, or maybe you just like don't want to eat breakfast and you just feel much better throughout the day if you don't have that. But I find that, I think the spiritual disciplines and practices and supports that are emerging, like, through all of us as we take care of ourselves and as we expand into the fullness of our lives, there's just going to be lots of things to offer, and there isn't really a set way of, like, you should go do sound healing at this point in time, and when you're at this point in your journey you should make sure you do this drum journey and then read your astrology chart and then like learn this thing and then do Reiki and like have, like, there's no prescription for either of these paths, which I could bring in like characteristics about my human design profile that are like interesting in terms of, I have a 3-5 profile, which means that I am constantly seeking to like experiment and learn, and then really quickly turning that around into something that people see me as, like, being able to solve problems. Even if I feel like I'm still learning something, people see me as being able to do it and offer it right away. But everyone has these different strategies, and there's so many different combinations that I've been finding it just really fun to let myself explore it. And in the ways that it's like, you know, you miss a training day, or you miss the day that you're supposed to do leg day, or like whatever it is that's in your routine, or you miss your yoga class or something, you can either sit there and beat yourself up about it, or you can do what you actually need to do that day too. So there's a big value I have around the discipline to do the work, and also the flexibility to like respond to actually where you're at instead of where you think or someone else thinks you should be.
Cool. Yeah, so would you say that like the inner alchemy process, the sacred grove, that is the journey of the bard process? Would you say that that process was an expansion to your current modalities? Like what was the benefits, do you think, in the long run of
Oh my goodness. Like,
touching in on all these different past lives, all this different ancestral trauma, clearing that out, looking at twin flame dynamics, gutting the life, shifting and transforming and manifesting different sacred containers at different stages, came through with that as well. Uh,
and even the process of going through the journey with a hive, so with others going through the process as well, to see how they were reacting and what they were learning, and for us to share like a journey but not an experience specifically, I suppose. So there was a lot of like, it's just like a community in the way that I might be having a really hard time, but I'm still going to join the call, and someone else is going to be having a wicked awesome time, and it's going to be really great to hear how they're doing, and it's also going to be really good for them to hear how I'm doing. And that's like part of the exchange and part of the learning, because they might run into like their dip later, and then they know that it's still a safe place to come and unpack that and to support that. But yeah, I think the things that I learned almost more so from the like the bonus sessions that I like worked with you in, and just to like really allow my awareness and my understanding of myself and of this life and of what is actually here in this life, so far as like what ancestry passes down or what the environment has for me here or this time period that we're in. I I can like fairly confidently, almost like completely confidently say that like the expansion of my awareness would not be where it is without you, or the like bluntly without you, because I think we could have done those sessions outside of the container and my awareness would still be expanded, but I think the combination of all of that together has just like exponentially expanded my understanding of, I think, like not only what's possible but what is all here, and with the opportunity and the option to like lean in where things resonate with me and to just kind of leave things where they don't also, because it's not to say that we disagree on what exists, but we can definitely, like, I'm in charge of what is meaningful to me, so then I can like make decisions based on that.
Yeah, and that's a big part of my process, right? Is like we sample because
Hmm.
we're detectives. We're trying to figure out what are our ancestors saying from the ashes of the books that were burned, and what was the way that our greats did their things. But now, as a combination of all these little slivers of greats, how are we to do it now with this combination going forward?
Hmm.
So it's a really soft process of doing just that, like sampling and like spitting out and being okay to reject certain practices, processes that doesn't click with me. But this one has like, but if we could just have a little more sugar. So and those are the things that I really work with, is how to listen to the soft whispers and how to be able to trace these not physical but very physical things in
Yeah.
this like funniness and fine threads. And yeah, super beautiful. So let's just begin to wrap up. So currently I'm just folding up the most recent hive here in a day people called the Yonasi Calibri hive, and I'll have some of those apprentices, acolytes, whatever they are, on at different stages, and we'll be beginning a new round of the inner alchemy and sacred growth process for anybody that's curious. Look, check, keep your eyes posted on Dream Waters Wellness. Naomi Kennedy on Facebook. I'll be posting different things at different points, and very shortly here I'll be having a discovery call to set up our next cycle and begin our next group. So thank you so much, Kelley, for being on, and our lovely little mascot here. For not putting your butt in the camera while we were live. It's very close, though, very close. You
Yeah.
wanted to. Oh, you're going to leave soon. Hold on. Let's see if we can get this in here.
One more,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Don't forget me. Um, yeah, so anything on conclusion that you'd like to finish with, Kelley?
No, just so much gratitude. Thank you so much, Naomi. And I look forward to seeing and hearing, whoever goes through this process next. I think it's turning into quite a great little group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be beautiful. Wonderful. Well, let's